I didn't need equipment for swimming. I could just go do it anywhere, And once you built that confidence, it was something that every pool, every open water situation, I was out there, so it was a tool that I could take with me anywhere. And it was a freedom that, same as when I'm taking my prosthetics off at home, I can move without anything.
Welcome to the Injured Athletes Club podcast, the show that helps athletes cope with sports injuries and bounce back stronger. I'm mental skills coach Carrie Jackson. We're sorry you're here, but we're glad you're with us.
And I'm journalist Cindy Kuzma. This week, our guest is para swimmer and author Roderick Sewell. But before we get to the interview, we want to share just a couple of other important resources with you.
One of our incredible resources that we have available to you is our support group on Facebook, the Injured Athletes Club. It is an incredible space. We've often heard one of the most positive spaces in social media, which is kind of incredible. It's really a wonderful place where you get to connect with other athletes that are either actively going through injury or have been through injury and absolutely get what you are going through. It's a wonderful place to be able to ask questions, to share wins, to get support, and just be immersed in a community of people that get it. Be sure you head over to Facebook and check out Injured Athletes Club over there, and you can also get that incredible support that they are all getting.
Yes, and we have incredible support this season from our sponsor, Lever Movement. They're the creators of the Lever System, an innovative way to reduce your body weight while exercising on a treadmill. You will hear more about them later in the episode, but just a heads up, you can use code INJURED20 to get 20% off your purchase at levermovement.com today. So with that, let's get on to this week's show. As I mentioned, our guest is Roderick Sewell. He's a swimmer who represented Team USA on 3 national teams and was a former member of the U.S. Paralympic swim team. He won both gold and bronze at the Pan-Pacific Paraswimming Championships in 2014. And then he transitioned to a new sport, as we'll talk about in this episode, and became the first bilateral above-knee amputee to complete the Ironman World Championships in Kona in 2019. And that was actually a faster turnaround than you might think. So you will be interested to hear how that all went down. He's the author of a fantastic book about that journey and really about his whole life, called Iron Will, an amputee's journey to athletic excellence, and he's a motivational speaker. And what I really appreciated about talking with Roderick was, he talks a lot about growing up, his disability he had since birth, rather. Sometimes we talk to para-athletes who acquire their disabilities later in life, and we do talk a little bit about how that can make a difference, and you'll notice some differences in the stories between other Paralympians we've talked to. But Roderick talks about getting over his fear of the water to really fall in love with swimming and what a new world that opened up for him. And that is such a beautiful story. And I respect that and appreciated it so much. But what is also cool is the way he did adapt and evolve and change his goals over time when his circumstances changed and when he felt it was right to try a new adventure or switch to something entirely different, as you'll hear more about what he's focusing on for LA in 2028. So I appreciated everything Roderick shared, but that was just one part of his story that I really liked hearing.
Man, we covered so much in such a short amount of time. It was kind of incredible. And I did it, part of the story that's absolutely bananas is how much time he had to train for Kona.
Yeah.
just on an athletic level, that part for me was like, what? Oh my gosh. But I really the parts of the conversation I really, really resonated with and just really appreciated was when he talked about the importance of representation. I thought that was a real big highlight for me, talking about that and how important that is. And we definitely recognize that. That's, one of the reasons why we wanted to create the Injured Athletes Club support group. It's just, you need to be able to connect with other people that you see, and feel represent you. And so I really liked that. And then I also really appreciated our parts of the conversation where we talked about how people can struggle with self-love. And for me, that's certainly something that comes up in the work that I do. So I really appreciated that part of the conversation as well.
Yeah, you're right. Those are just a few of the many, many topics that we talk about in this interview. So we're really excited to share this wonderful conversation with Roderick. Roderick, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us on the Injured Athletes Club.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So we have a little saying around here, which is that we're sorry you're here, but we're glad you're with us. And we say this because we know that injury and illness and every other part of an athlete's life can be kind of a roller coaster with a lot of ups and downs along the way. So when we ask this question, we really mean it. Roderick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I had an interesting few months. My book Iron Will just came out August 5th of last year. And it's been from October to January, pretty much, of just traveling and just getting the word out that the book is out. I went to Zambia, which was really fun. I went there with a nonprofit called Limkind Foundation. And they make prosthetics for children in different countries that, if they have a contract with the hospital, they can go there and work on a certain amount of prosthetics in a short time and teach their team how to do it. And so it was really fun to be there. I'm more of I don't know how to make prosthetics. I know how to put them together. I'll put it like that. But I'm not making them from scratch.
You're not designing them? Yeah.
No. Let me be clear. But I've lived on them. I'm 33 now. I've been on prosthetics since I was 2. So it was 31 years of I know the ins and outs to an extent. And to be there as a mentor, and it's the one time where I really do see how representation does matter, because I've been to Zambia, Ethiopia, and Kenya with this same team, Limkind. And when they see somebody who looks like them and is also walking on prosthetics, it makes them, this child might be 18 and has never had a prosthetic. Now they're like, oh, I have the motivation to not only try it, but know that I can live a normal life.
Yeah.
So Zambia was November. The book signing, I went to San Diego twice, which is my home. It's where I'm from. Mm-hmm. That was most of October. And it was in St. Petersburg in Florida. I went there for a book signing. And then I went to Maui for the last part of the book. So yeah. And that was just for the spirit. Like I needed to be in water without a wetsuit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And let it be clear and not murky and scary. So it was really cool to be there and not just do a book signing, but almost get a vacation of, wow, like I haven't had a vacation in a long time. Last time I was in Hawaii, I was doing a 140-mile race,
Not
really
so much a vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So it was nice to actually get a vacation out of all of this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cindy, we should have gone to Maui and done a book tour. I don't know.
I don't know why we didn't do that.
Roderick should have been our agent. Yeah.
It's the place to be, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that is all awesome to hear. And so cool, the places that putting a book out into the world and that your broader work in advocacy can take you. And congratulations on the book. It's really great. And I think what's so wonderful about it is that people might pick it up thinking that it's only about your career in sport, which of course it is, but it's so much more than that.
Right.
And it's also about your mom and your relationship and how you have navigated that. And you get the sense that really does lay the foundation for your athletic achievements too. And so I wondered, and I think this does also go back to, you talking about being on prosthetics from a young age. Mm-hmm. Your mom had to make some big decisions for you when you were very young. So I wondered if you could start by kind of telling our listeners a little bit about your mom and what you went through at a young age, both of you.
Yeah. So my mom was 32 when she had me. And she had already had 6 miscarriages before having me. So once she got pregnant with me, she did every type of holistic route, every type of medicine, anything that would help. And she took this one, type of pill, can't remember the name of it. And one of the side effects were your child might come up with a disability. But it will stop your miscarriages is what the purpose of it was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she's walking through her pregnancy, things are looking successful. She doesn't want to jar her stomach at all, so she'll walk on her tippy toes and like hold her belly up.
Oh,
Yeah, when she told me that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're cradling me from the get go."
That's right.
And so finally she go through her 10 months, and then now there's an issue with my birth, so she has to have a C-section, and then they noticed my disability, and she at the time wasn't too focused on that. Mm-hmm. It's when the reality hit as time goes on, like, oh, okay, now we got to really think about what I need for my child, because at first it was just finally she's been trying so long to have this child, and now she finally has one. So from there, she went to different doctors, got different opinions about, should I have my child in a wheelchair, or are there other options for him? Will he ever be able to walk? Everybody said no to the walking because I was missing both tibias and both of my legs. So without the tibia bone, there's no stability. And from there, I can't remember what the doctor's name was, but one doctor recommended that she amputate at an early age. And he said that prosthetics were really growing. And because he is strong and he has most of his development above the knee, it wouldn't be a problem to amputate now early and let him grow up this way. So you can't amputate on a child until after a year. So I think I was a year and a half when we got the amputation done. And, recovery process, I don't think I got prosthetics for 2.5 years after that. I might have tried some on, like baby prosthetics. Mm-hmm. But, those things are kind of restricting, and any child is going to find a way to break that thing apart to get it off.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I was very much that child. So, so the baby prosthetics didn't hold. I started wearing Tupperware cups because my limb could fit perfectly inside like a cone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And those were my prosthetics from 2 to 5, pretty much.
Right? You're probably like, I move much faster in these. This is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. I could shred it across concrete and the cup holds on. And I loved it. And then it came time for preschool and kindergarten. So I had to work on getting my prosthetics together and maneuvering so that I can go to preschool and it not be a problem. I got used to it, worked on it, but being an amputee, that's all I know. My first memories were of me without legs. And as soon as I got home, I would take those legs off, put on the Tupperware cups. And my mom knew, this is just his time. He just has to develop the way he can. Luckily, my grandma lived right next door, so I would always go to her place. But it was just scary for my mom. She didn't know what to do up to the amputation. And then after the amputation, now she's starting to see, kind of like when you buy a new car, you see it everywhere. Now that her child is dealing with this amputation, she's seeing different amputees in different climates, and she's not liking what she's seeing. We're downtown and she's seeing a guy in a wheelchair with one leg, begging for money. And here comes the anxiety, here comes the fear. Is that going to be my son? Yeah. So it was tough for her. But she saw how happy I was, with family. I was treated normal with friends that were around family. They knew how I was, and everybody met me that way. So me being an amputee was not like when I met you, you were an amputee. This is how you are. It's not until I got older and everybody's getting taller than me that I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Starting to recognize, okay, yeah. And before that, it was just people would meet you and you're like, you're Roderick.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So how do you think that kind of shaped the type of athlete you become? I mean, you talk about the kids that you meet who didn't have prosthetics until an older age, but that physical sort of experience of having those from the time that you started moving, how do you think that shaped your kind of athletic trajectory after that?
I think because I grew up, this being my norm, made it very much easier to adapt to whatever the situation might be. And then to be around family who they don't take it easy on me. They give me the same. I've had cousins, because I was light, just throw me across the room. and I had to find a way to fight back, and not in a negative way, but like a wrestling fun way.
Yeah.
And it gave me a certain kind of grit, on top of my mom and seeing how much she did for me. So we had, the prosthetics she got for me. We had the house, we had the car. She would take me everywhere, at one point in time. And then it got to a point where now that I'm older, my prosthetics aren't covered on her insurance. She's no longer working for the Navy, and there's no durable medical equipment on her insurance. So the quickest thing she could think to do to get my prosthetics and let me stay in school and not restart this whole process was to quit her job, file for unemployment. I believe at the time in the 90s, it was Medi-Cal that she was using, and use that to keep my prosthetics and have some kind of assistance there. And I'm grateful. I talked about the kids who never had a prosthetic, didn't even think to get one, or if they ever would get one in these other countries. And then we go to Zambia and we make them their first leg, and they're like, wow, this is a whole new way of life. Now I don't have to put my hands on my crutches. I can walk with my hands free, So for me to say I grew up having my prosthetics, never owned a house chair, always had, if I wanted to go outside, I'm putting those on. Maybe I would ride a skateboard if it's like a quick outside inside thing. But normally if I got somewhere to go, I'm putting on my prosthetics.
Yeah.
Whether my stumps are hurting, whether they're good, that's what I do.
Okay.
So to grow up having that is definitely a privilege. Now I know that.
Right. Yeah.
And then I saw the effect, that it took on my mom, where now she's selling the car. Now we're moving out of our house and into apartments, and she's looking for work, to where we eventually ended up homeless in San Diego. And yeah, my mom just took on the most to make sure that I stayed with her, as well as kept my prosthetics and still maintain some type of childhood.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, on the one hand, it's like, how incredible is your mom for going through all of that? And on the other hand, that is total bullshit that your mom had to go through all that to be able to provide for a child. Don't take that out, Jeremy. You can leave that in. Like, it is absolute bullshit. Like, it's just, and I loved what you were saying earlier about the representation, and, because it's one thing to have like a doctor say, this is going to change your life. It's another thing to have somebody that's lived it for a significant amount of time to say, no, this is going to change your life and you can do this. And it's just a different feeling altogether. So I'm super curious, like, was sports part of your like family culture or part of your like school culture? Like, how did you start to get into sports?
Growing up, I had family who did compete in sports, different sports. Nothing crazy, not on they say it, not on the level that I'm doing. Most have maybe gone to college, and then that's it. And I was always out of the sports. I couldn't always participate. Even in elementary school, I had like a physically challenged PE, where people like me would be in the same room. We wouldn't necessarily play with all the other kids.
Okay.
Either I couldn't keep up with my prosthetics, especially at that young age, like my limb being amputated above the knee on both sides, and then swinging these legs that can reach up to 10 pounds. I was not moving fast. I had one speed. And that, I had to get stronger. I had to get stronger and stronger and get used to walking distances and different terrain. And I think not even realizing it, I was kind of walking with these like ankle weights, just building up the strength in my leg. If you felt my limb now, it's just a wad. It's never calm. It's never, it's always like, my ex, she used to like try to push my leg down and it wouldn't move because my legs are so used to throwing forward that muscle is just solid.
It's like perpetually contracted. Like,
it's hard to like push it down completely. They don't go.
Oh my God.
I definitely need to see a massage therapist. or at this point, maybe acupuncture.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I built my strength up, using my arms for everything when I took my prosthetics off, swinging my legs, built up my lower half, my core and my limbs. And because I was strong enough, when I got to my family, I could now do whatever we were doing. They wouldn't, count me out. They would let me participate and I would do my best, whether it was wrestling or everybody's riding their scooters and I'm on my skateboard. But still, when I would get around my peers, they don't know me that way, So it's like, oh, can he do this? We get around certain adults. Oh, we don't want him to get hurt. Let's put him over here. And it's like the unknown, makes them naturally want to separate me from everybody else. And then I learned about adaptive sports. And this is around the time where my mom and I were living in the homeless shelter. I met Challenge Athletes Foundation based out of San Diego and got involved into cycling, hand cycling, wheelchair basketball. What other sports we did? Wheelchair rugby. That was fun. And, just a bunch of different adaptive sports that I didn't know were available to me. And so once that happened, it was just a kid in a candy store. I'm like, I want to do everything.
Game on. Yeah.
Right. Like, what other sports do you have that I can do that's meant for somebody with a disability? Because now I'm meeting kids who might have spina bifida, might have, cerebral palsy, other amputees of different limbs, maybe single below knee, or double below or single above. And it's like, wow, I have been alone in a way for a long time. And now I have this community where I have amputee friends. I have friends who are in wheelchairs and they're strong, they're thriving. So to be in that community at a time where it was kind of the worst time going on for us, it was prime. It was immaculate timing, I like to say.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, and then I know swimming came into your life too, which was something that you had to overcome some fears to begin. Right. So tell us a little bit about why you chose to do that and what it felt like when you did.
Yeah, I was getting, at that point I had done almost every adaptive anything. If you need a wheelchair or hand cycle for it, I had already done it. Even running track, using the running blades to run. I had finally got my first pair and it was, takeoff. Like immediately, I didn't want to take them. I don't think I took those legs off for 2 weeks. I think I tried to go to school in them. And my mom was like, absolutely not. No, they're too expensive. And they were granted through Challenge Athletes Foundation, who, they raise money for people with physical disabilities. I actually got them on my bottle here.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah.
Usually I wear their shirt. But, they're a foundation for people with physical disabilities where if I had tried to get a running blade through insurance, they would have denied me because they consider that a luxury. That's not a demanding need. You don't need to work out and be healthy. You just need to.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I laugh, but it's crazy because it's crazy how a lot of people, if they had this equipment, how it would really fix their life and a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
Rather than deny them. And then now you have obesity. Now you have, diabetes can be under control.
Yeah. And it would help mental and physical issue, right? Like, it's ridiculous that it's not covered.
Exactly. So getting the blades from CAF, trying all these different sports. Now here comes swimming. Where this is not an adaptive sport. This is just swimming.
Get in the water. Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm going back to the, running blades and the wheelchair basketball. But then I met my friend. His name's Rudy Garcia Tolson. He's the first bilateral above knee amputee that I met. And he was 3.5 years older than me. So we were both children.
Oh, cool.
I was 7. He was 11. And meeting him, and then hearing he wanted to go to the Paralympics for swimming, I got to watch him swim, and I saw him jump in and do flip turns and without his prosthetics on, and he was fine. So seeing that, and again with the representation, seeing that someone who is in the same position as me just take off and really thrive in the water. It's like, okay, so regardless of my disability, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And seeing that, I got lessons through Challenge Athletes Foundation. They paid a coach who still my coach today. His name's Alan Boissard. Mm-hmm. And his wife, Allison Terry. They've coached me through a lot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I consider them my godparents now, but CAF paid for my lessons to go get swim coaching. My mom and I went to the Mission Valley YMCA in San Diego, and Alan worked with me little by little until I overcame that fear and wanted to try, And then once I was able to do a 25-yard swim by myself, that was truly the one, like, wheelchair basketball, cool, hand cycling, that's fun, but I didn't need equipment for swimming. I could just go do it anywhere, Mm-hmm. And once you built that confidence, it was something that every pool, every open water situation, I was out there, so it was a tool that I could take with me anywhere. Mm-hmm. And it was a freedom that, I can, same as when I'm taking my prosthetics off at home, I can move without anything. And swimming is just great. When it comes to the body, like the way I feel afterwards, I just feel like, oh my God, I needed that. Mm-hmm. And talk about mental and physical, I think as a, I don't know if this is just for me as a double above knee amputee or in general of people with disabilities, swimming might be the best thing. Mm. Swimming might be the best sport where if you're trying to either rebuild or build that strength, that's the sport to do it. Because I was swimming without my legs, so people look at me and they're like, oh, you play football. No, I swim. And they're like, no, your arms are huge. And I'm like, it goes from a lean strength and conditioning event to now I'm working out my arms. My arms are really getting, like, I can overtrain this if I do too much. Right, something to consider. So, swimming was the fear that, once you overcome it, it's crazy the doors that open up. And I went on to, swim Paralympic swimming. And I think my endurance, I was swimming like 5,000, 10,000 meters a day.
Wow.
And I think my endurance from swimming was, I couldn't do that right now. Definitely not. But maybe 5,000. But my endurance from that is what got me ready for the Ironman.
Yeah.
Because I didn't own a hand cycle at this point. This is 2019. I only had been running maybe 6 miles on my running blades, so not far. But swimming was, muscle memory at this point. Mm-hmm. And now comes 2019 where I represent as a Challenge Athletes Foundation athlete. I'm an ambassador for them as well. Mm-hmm. They get a slot every year through CAF from Ironman.
Oh, for Kona, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for Kona. So I have a number of CAF athletes that they think could do it. Mm-hmm. I did a Oceanside half Ironman earlier that year. I think it was April 2019. And my swim for the 1.2 mile swim was like 34 minutes, something like that. And I had a teammate do the bike, and then I did the run, which was 13 miles in an hour 39.
Okay, that's very fast.
And that was my first. Surprisingly fast. Mm-hmm. Me, the co-founder of CAF, Rudy, we're all there. All of us are looking at each other when we see the number, and we're like, I didn't know. Nobody knew I could run. Nobody knew I could do a marathon run. Neither did I. I'm getting to mile 7, like, oh, this is the furthest. Mile 8, oh, this is the furthest. I'm surprised. I'm surprised this is going so well.
Yeah. Wow.
But seeing that's when CAF was like, we're going to put Rod's name in for the Ironman. Mm-hmm. 3 months before the Ironman was October 12th, 2019. I think it was July that they gave me the slot saying that I would absolutely be competing. Of course, I was hoping.
Not a lot of time,
Not a lot of time.
Yeah.
No.
3 months.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Excuse me. 3 months to get ready. I don't own a bike.
What?
that half Ironman was the longest I ran.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
But I had been training on a hand cycle at the studio that I was managing. So, in hopes that, from that April race, maybe they'll pick me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it was already like an inkling in your mind, like, ooh, maybe they, okay.
After that hour 39, 13 miles, I was like, they might consider me.
Can you run more mileage without getting hurt? Return to running sooner after an injury.
Keep your fitness even when you're facing a setback? Or get to the start line healthy and faster? If you ask our friends at Lever Movement, you just might find the answer to all of these questions is a resounding yes. We are thrilled to welcome Lever Movement back as our sponsor for season 9 of the Injured Athletes Club podcast. And if all that sounds good, they have an offer that makes it easier than ever for you to try the Lever system for yourself. In case you haven't heard about it yet, the Lever system is a portable, lightweight device that attaches to a treadmill to reduce your body weight. This is very good news for all of us athletes because it means less impact on the joints, so we can come back from injury safely or even prevent getting hurt in the first place. And the best part is that it's portable. That means you can use it at home or even take it to the gym and set it up in less than 2 minutes.
Elite athletes like marathoner Sarah Hall and Jess Lehrmanth, an Olympic gold medalist in triathlon, have used Lever in their training and rehab routines. And we know, so have many of you in the Injured Athletes Club. If you'd like to check out the Lever system for yourself, use the discount code INJURED20 to get 20% off any device. And stay tuned here on the podcast and in the Facebook group for the Injured Athletes Club this season. We'll have more exciting updates from our partnership. We have some fun plans in the works with Lever we know you're going to want to check out.
So after that, I got the slot in July, and CAF, they made sure to give me a hand cycle. That was a kneeler where I can engage my core and my legs and like my back and everything. And there's a clip on YouTube because Ironman did an NBC special where they recorded the whole kind of training process leading up to the Ironman.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And I knew they were recording. So I was like, either they were going to be recording you doing well and succeeding, or they're going to be recording you failing.
What story are we going to hear?
Right. So I kept that in mind. They're recording a redemption video. But so like I said, the swim had me prepared. I didn't train for the swim at all. At that point, I was like, swimming is on the back burner. If I do swim, maybe a mile just to do something as active recovery. But those 3 months were the bike. The first month was every other day for an hour. The next month was every other day for 2 to 4 hours. The third month was like in between the second and third month was, I think I got up to 6 and 8 hours. And it didn't get hard. Like by that third month, I preferred the longer rides than the shorter rides.
Okay.
And I, because the hand cycle was something new to me, the kneeler where I can engage my whole body, I liked finally having a bike. I didn't really grow up riding a bike. I used the hand cycle once in a while, but these things are clunky. Like they take up a lot of space. So I didn't own one since we were moving around so much.
Yeah.
But it was truly having that swim endurance gave me what I needed for the bike training.
Okay.
And then that carried into the run, since I already built that endurance with the 13-mile and going forward from there. So
were you alternating? Were you alternating like cycling and running days during that period, those 3 months leading up?
Yeah. So at this time I was living in New York, and I was a swim coach as well. I coached at the training studio that I worked at, and then I had my own clients. And if ever, a lot of them, especially in New York, they have their own pools in their own buildings. So I would come and coach, and then I'm like, hey, do you mind if I just stay here and swim afterwards? And they're like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I'll get in like an active recovery or just something light. And then now, later in the day, if I do a run or a ride, then I've done technically a double. especially with swimming, I don't need to work too hard.
Right.
So it was really, truly like I had to get used to. The one I did the most was go ride for a long time and then go run. And that one was the hardest. That was always my mental barrier of how do you do a marathon after cycling 112 miles? I didn't care about the 2.4 mile swim. I could do anything after that. But, but the bike to the run, like that was my mental blockage for a long time. I knew I could make the cutoff. I just didn't think I would have any energy to do the next thing. So I would do a lot of like twice a week. I would do a double of ride and then go run either one lap around Central Park or two. And that was in the first month that I was starting to ride. And by the second and third month, I was doing more like 3 days of longer rides because I wanted to be more comfortable there. And then 2 days of running. And I might tie a swim in on those run days because it's kind of jarring on my lower back. So it'll be a mixture, just a mixture of, what works for me, what kind of day did I have at work, especially living in New York, trying to commute. Sometimes you got to work with what you get, But yeah, even living there, like that city is not accessible at all. So to be there because of my endurance from swimming, I can go for these long walks and catch the train and go up and down these stairs and pull myself up. And I tell myself, like, I wouldn't recommend this for most people with disabilities. This is like, I'm a professional athlete and I'm winded.
Like just getting around New York is part of your training and your workout.
Exactly. And I think that's where I thrived in New York as a coach because I considered that.
Yeah.
If I'm coming to your apartment and you live here, you're coming downstairs to the pool, you're getting a hard workout. But if we both had like this long day, I'm seeing you at the end of the day, you had this, that, and the third go on. Let's focus on technique maybe versus getting an actual, like use this as an active recovery as well. So that's living out there is definitely, it needs to be, it's an element,
Yeah, for sure.
It's a variable. It's always in play.
So then you get to Kona and tell us what that day was like, especially to your point, you have that pressure of being the first, you have the cameras, you have everyone watching. How did you deal with that? What were the most challenging parts of the race and what did it feel like to get through them?
By this time, I had been with CAF for almost 20 years as a recipient and now an ambassador. And I knew there were a lot of kids that were watching. By this time, I had worked with a lot of Wounded Warriors and Operation Rebound at CAF. And I knew they were watching. There was people who, had accidents in Boston Marathon, a variety of accidents. They were tuning in, because I met these people along the way. And now this challenge is being presented to me. And it felt like the Super Bowl, in all honesty. It was very much like even race day. We're swimming and we're seeing drones going over. We're riding our bikes and there's helicopters flying over to get recordings and motorcycles riding by to catch these like face shots and just the whole experience. And even in the evening, everybody that's on the run that's volunteering and they're at the tables and they're locals. They live on the island. They're cheering us on and wishing us luck and just knowing that people were tuning in and they wanted me to win for a reason, it was kind of like a victory for all of us because it was a reminder of, oh, you know what? Like I can do this. I can do this. I feel like a lot of, and I'll talk about representation. A lot of people, when they see me, they look at my disability and they think it's the hardest thing. They could not imagine their lives the way I live. And when they see me do something that is successful, it's almost a win for them because whatever hardship now that I'm going through, I know that I can get through it just like he got through this one. And I appreciate it. And it's also kind of funny to me because in my mind, I'm like, I grew up like this. My disability is not the hardest.
Yeah.
I got real problems. No.
Yeah. Right.
Let me tell you about my real problems.
I got real life issues. No. But I use that knowing that if my living with my disability can provide that inspiration for somebody that way, then even more reason for me to go out there and do my best and give my all.
Yeah. Does that ever, like at any point, did that ever, did it always feel like it tipped more towards representation and inspiring the kids that you knew you were watching? Or did it ever tip over into feeling like pressure? Like, I really, like, they're watching me and I need to rise up to this moment. Like, was there ever pressure with that? Or was it more like, no, it was more on the inspirational side?
Well, so in the beginning, once I learned about adaptive sports, it was the camaraderie, and then I learned about the Paralympics, and because of, I was decent at most adaptive sports that I played. And once I learned that they have certain sports in the Paralympics, I couldn't help but see myself at the highest point, I just got exposed to adaptive sports and I'm seeing myself doing all this, that, and the third. Now we're seeing adults who are playing wheelchair basketball, and what games was that before? I think it was Athens. Seeing people who competed there. My buddy Rudy, that was his first Olympic Games, Paralympic Games. And being around them, now I'm like, okay, like I don't see too much of a difference between you and me. We all have disabilities here. It's just the work ethic, the consistency of being in one of these sports, because I'm doing everything still, So then it became, let me try my best. I got to keep my grades up in school or I'm not going to be able to do any of this. On top of that, I got to choose a sport that I feel like I can thrive in and really go to the Paralympics in. That whittled down track, hand cycling, all these different sports. It was between wheelchair basketball and swimming. I went to the 2008 Beijing Games to watch. And I saw, a lot of my friends who play wheelchair basketball represent USA. I saw my buddy Rudy get gold in his main event. He was swimming. And I was like, I think swimming is the one for me. And so I was 16 at the time. We came home. I finished out my last year of basketball. I think I played up through high school and then, continued with Paralympic swimming now. Like I want to swim coach. I want to do this regularly and see how far I can go. And I really just stayed focused. I continued training throughout high school. I got to college. I was known as, the kid who, I guess we're all kids at that point, but the guy who, he has no legs and he's training for this sport and he's working with this nonprofit. Like I already had a name freshman year, because I was so like, I got to go, guys. We have practice at this hour, and it's not necessarily involved with the school. Everybody's doing what's school related. I'm flying to San Diego to volunteer at an event or going to these races. So I'm not necessarily in that world, but that's how I became, because I still formed connections, and that's how I became known as that kid, as that guy.
Yeah. And
going from there is where I started volunteering the most. I worked with Never Say Never Foundation, obviously Challenge Athletes Foundation, and meeting these younger kids that see you and they're just like, oh my goodness, like, oh, you're strong. Oh, you've been disabled your whole life like me. And that's when I noticed connected the dots of, a lot of people, when they see me, they naturally think I had a motorcycle accident or I was in the military and something happened. Right. They can't comprehend how I was born this way. And I'm still strong. I'm still able to live a normal, happy life. And, these kids pointed it out to me because they're growing up. They're the only ones in their neighborhood, the only kid in their environment like them. And they didn't really see somebody making it look fun, look cool, enjoying the process. And then you get around me, my buddy Rudy, and some of our now Paralympic friends. We know the ins and outs at this point. We're having fun with our way of life. So seeing that ability and just the people I met along the way leading up to the Ironman, and the people that hadn't heard about CAF yet or don't know about adaptive sports, that were watching, like, this is that time. This is where I talk about making a statement, making a message. I didn't want to come back here and do this again. I wanted to do this. We got one time. We got one chance. And coming across that finish line, one of the staff at CAF said that we broke the internet. And obviously we didn't, but in the Ironman endurance sport world, which CAF is a part of, this was the only thing that was trending. This was people who we don't even know about. We're talking about that day in sport. I think there was a marathon record that was broken at that time in a different sport in the endurance world by an African male and then an African female. And then there was me doing the Ironman. So there was just so much history being done. And I was just kind of sitting back like, oh my God, like I cannot believe this happened. So I celebrated, but it's a win for more than me. And it's an opportunity where I meet somebody who, and I do meet a lot, I meet a lot of people who are able-bodied and tell me if they lived my life, they would immediately like commit suicide. And this was in New York that I got the most of this. And I knew like that's somebody that doesn't need to go through what I'm going through because they will not make it. Right. And there's individuals I've met who they've said themselves, let anything happen to me. As long as I'm still here, I'm going to keep going, keep giving my all. And then now here I come walking down the stairs in New York City, and I've had a guy come up to me in tears, like, bro, I was just saying how if I lost an arm, I would continue on living, and now here you come. And I'm like, bro, heck yeah, like we got a lot to live for. And so, there's those moments, so knowing that I can have that effect. It made like the hardest parts of that race. You got to do it. You got to get it done. The hardest part was only at the end, though. It was the run.
Right.
That was the hardest part by far.
Well, and what I think is so amazing about it, and again, this also comes through in the book, is that, you had your sights set on different athletic dreams and Paralympic medals and all of that. And not all of that obviously didn't work out the way you hoped, but like here was a different opportunity that you weren't expecting that allowed you to share, to have that success and share the messages that were important to you in like an entirely different way. So I think that is something that is really profound about your story too. And Roderick, so I know you've kept swimming for a while, cycling for a while, but what is your training like these days? And I know at one point you had your sights set on 2028, but tell us like what phase of life you're in right now and what your athletic ambitions look like.
So I'm still training for 2028. I'm going for hand cycling. I had some people trying to convince me to get into canoeing or kayaking. The motions are pretty much the same as on my hand cycle. So I'm considering, but right now I'm in Denver. I'm training on my hand cycle. And because of the book, my calendar has been very like, sporadic. There's a few weeks where I have consistent training weeks and then I'm not here for 3 weeks, and then now I have to restart. So that's been a little bit of a difficult process of, I usually pick a race and then go backwards and plan out, what I'm supposed to be doing. But it's tough where you don't know if you're going to be going to a book signing here in this month or you have this event going on. So there's a race in Thailand for hand cycling. And I thought about going, but I just don't feel like I would be at my best by March. And I don't want to just, as much as I want to go to Thailand, I don't want to go if I'm not at my best. So that's the first World Cup event for hand cycling this year. The second will be in Belgium. And I think that's in May. I always do well in Belgium. And every time I've gone, I've always gone significantly faster. And it's more convenient. There's a lot more food options. But I might be going to that race in May, and I'll be more prepared and physically ready But as of now, just buckling down and just promoting the book as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is awesome. And we're definitely going to link to it in the show notes. And I think people will be motivated to pick it up based on this teaser that you've given them here. It's an incredible story. And Roderick, I know you're also moving forward in your career as a motivational speaker too, like you say, promoting the book and just talking with others about overcoming obstacles. Like, what would you say are some of the most important messages that you share?
The one I've had the most lately is the importance of life. I think there's a lot of people who struggle with self-love or inner love. And it's been interesting, certain interactions where I might meet somebody who is working on or has that inner love and that care for themselves. And when they see me, they immediately relate, and because I've been working on myself as well, I can see like the appreciation, equally for ourselves to each other. And then I meet people who don't love themselves, and don't care about their inner self. And you see it through certain actions and responses. And then when I come around, it's like, you still want to be negative, but it makes you look bad. So, so you just hold it in. You kind of look all like it's hard to explain, but it was tough because growing up as a child, coming up into my teen years, it was always, oh, you're so inspiring. Oh, that's so, good for you. And then as an adult now, I can, I'm walking, I pay for my own place. I work, I got to pay for my bills. I got a car. I travel. I've been on 6 continents. I'm trying to go on my 7th. And people really kind of get upset, and would rather assume that I'm supposed to be disabled, pretty much. Like, I don't know how else to put it. So walking around life with a disability, I would rather hear people would rather tell me, "Oh, are you okay? Like, shouldn't you be sitting down? Or should you have a caretaker? Should you be out here by yourself?" And I'm just like, man, like I feel like I look pretty like independent. And so and those aren't the worst comments. It's just now walking in my adulthood, seeing how some people respond well to seeing somebody like me. Now some people, it's almost like a frustration. Like if they were already beating themselves up to tell themselves that their situation is impossible, and then they see an impossible situation to them, now that kind of debunks what you should be feeling, and yet you still want to hold and maintain that.
That's right.
And I don't know if it's my disability. I don't know if it's my history, my background, but I do not like to be restrained or restricted. And that goes to my mental health and mental well-being. I would never want to make myself stay in a mindset versus being open to the thought of something else working for me. So yeah, it's been interesting, but I appreciate the people who they can see, because they love themselves, they can see and appreciate that love in other people, and
that's right.
Whether it looks like them or whether it doesn't, and I'm glad in these times I have that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's such a crucial sort of observation to recognize. It doesn't make it easier in the moment when someone's saying something like that to you, but to recognize that the people that are usually like doing the pushback are the ones that don't have that self-love. It doesn't mean that it's okay what they're doing, but that's a piece of that picture for them is like, so I like to be able to see that and recognize that's part of it is really, sometimes can feel really empowering for us, for the person that's going through that, but it still doesn't make it any easier in that moment of like, why would you fucking say that? Like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Like, come on, you could think before you open your mouth.
Well, Roderick, I'm sorry that people have reacted that way, but I think you're so right, Carrie. It's almost like a mirror, like they're reflecting
exactly
what is true for them and not what's true for you. And I so appreciate and respect you working on that for yourself, sharing it with us today, sharing it with our listeners, that self-love and respect, and seeing where that can take you and seeing where that can inspire other people too. So thank you so much, Roderick, for being on today and for sharing all of this with us. We really appreciate it, and definitely we'll be cheering you on your path to LA 2028, we hope, and definitely going to be encouraging all of our listeners to pick up your book.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks again to Roderick for joining us, and to our sponsor, Lever Movement, for making the show possible. And as always, we are incredibly grateful to Jeremy Nessel for editing this and every single episode of the show, and always doing everything he can to make us sound our best. We appreciate you, Jeremy. We are also grateful to you, our listeners. And if you like the show and get something out of it and think you might have other injured athletes in your life who would also appreciate it, we would love it if you would share it with them. You can also leave a rating or a review on iTunes, Spotify, Audible, wherever you get your podcasts. That really helps other people find the show. And subscribe too, because we're dropping new episodes every Thursday in this season, season 9, and we don't want you to miss a single episode. Finally, between episodes, as Coach Carey said at the beginning, you can join our Facebook support group, the Injured Athletes Club. Again, you will find other athletes there who appreciate what you're going through, who just get it. Carey and I hang out there too, and we are always grateful to welcome new members. So come on and join us over there. You can find links to all of this, everything we mentioned in the show, at our website, injuredathletesclub.com. Thanks so much, and we'll see you there.